Welcome to this week's episode of the Top Shelf Dusters podcast. My name is Jesse, and I've got nothing wise or clever to say. We are also joined by Brett.
Dos a cero. Let's go. We're up 2-0 in the Stanley Cup final. Let's go.
Thanks. I was going to ask you to translate that for me. We are also joined by Cass.
I'm curious if that was La Bamba in a different language. You didn't get the replay sweep like Ethan got. There's a new hated team in the NHL, and their name is the Washington Capitals.
That's very true. That's very true. Please be quiet. And then we also have, I think that's Ethan. It looks like Ethan.
Yeah, the hair's been cut, and I'm wearing the first jersey I ever got in my life. And ironically, it's the team we beat in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Nice. Does it have a name on the back?
No, it's blank.
Boring.
I want to get the Goat Head Sabres jersey. That one is dope.
I wish I had that one instead, to be honest.
It's really cool.
Or the white one, the 50th anniversary one they did, or it's got like a really cool crest. That's like silvery. I don't know.
That slug one that they have might be the worst jersey they've ever had.
I'm surprised that one didn't win one of that ugliest jersey tournament we had going on a sister page, Freeze Puck Hockey. That one did not make it very far, if I remember correctly.
Oh, and before you go, Jesse, I know you were about to go. Cass, The Oilers did not reverse sweep the Stars, just so we're clear.
Okay, but maybe they'll reverse sweep the Panthers.
Fair.
Dos a cero is a chant for the U.S. national soccer team that they typically only use when they face Mexico, but whatever.
So we are going to start off with some news around the hockey world. The Florida Everblades became the first ECHL team to three-peat. They overcame a 2-goal deficit in the third period, and Matt Wedman scored less than 4 minutes into overtime to secure the franchise's third consecutive ECHL Kelly Cup championship.
One cool thing about that is, and I didn't know this until it happened, is Paul Maurice's son. Oh man, what's his name? I think it's like Kevin. I think Kevin Maurice. He is like the color commentator for the Florida Everblades. So that's something pretty cool I found out.
Has it been the same coach all 3 years? Like, how has that guy not got called up to the A by now?
I believe it has been the same coach for all 3 years. So
it's wild. Like, obviously, some people are comfy where they are. Look at the UConn basketball coach who just turned down $70 million from the Lakers, but it's crazy. I mean,
he did what?
Yeah, he turned down 74. Like, I think it was $70 million to stay with UConn instead of going to the LA Lakers. He just didn't want to deal with LeBron that badly.
If the LA Lakers are still hiring, I will take that job. I know nothing about basketball, but I'll take that job.
I'll do it for $7 million.
Put me down as a reference, Jesse.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll help me out.
So, is Florida the new state of hockey though now? With it's going with all the success Tampa's had, with all the success Florida has.
Well, we know
must be all those
the state of hockey.
All those New Englanders, yeah, it must be all those New Englanders going down there in the winter and rubbing off on you guys.
We know for a fact it's not Minnesota, so
no. Florida has way more claim to state of hockey than Minnesota.
Jake Maurice is his name, so I was way off on Kevin. Jake Maurice.
Okay.
So one of the things I wanted to mention about this before we moved on was at the beginning of the season, the Hertz Arena Ice Crew buried a dollar bill with the words 2023, 2024, 3-peat below the ice, which I thought was pretty cool. They were trying to make it happen. I'm gonna beat my dog, and
I'm sure everyone thought it was a jinx at the time.
Is that slang for something, Jesse?
I'm gonna crack my dog in the face. Yeah, that's what it's slang for.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was like. Okay.
He's got a dog, not a monkey. He's beating the dog.
Sure.
Goodness gracious, dudes.
There he is. There's blood on him. What the heck? No.
No, I changed my shirt real quick.
There we go. Anyone want to add anything to the Florida Everglades? Good for them.
Brett, have you ever been to a game?
Nice to see.
I would love to go. They're actually not that far from me. They're around Fort Myers, which is about an hour south of where I live.
Oh, it's not too bad.
So
That's not bad.
I just haven't gotten the chance yet, but I'll try to go next year next season.
Is that the same league that the Polar?
Yep, Orlando
Bears,
Solar
yeah.
Bears.
Solar
Bears, that's
My
right.
brother roots for the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. He's been to a couple games up there. That's in
The
South
Swamp
Carolina.
Rabbits.
Yes.
You
What a
didn't know
name.
rabbits
One
lived in
time
swamps?
Yeah.
You've got the
one time I met
Everblades.
Nolan, he had that jersey on.
Yes, he did have that jersey on when he came to Carolina. Tell us about the
Fort
Four
Myers,
Nations
That's
tournament.
interesting. Fort Myers is interesting though. Like,
Oh, is it?
hmm,
I don't think
Well,
it's
usually
in
I-
Fort Myers, but it's like
it's
it's
right there.
around the area. Yeah.
It's like the
my in-laws
Panthers
have
in
a place
Miami.
down there.
Right,
Here
exactly.
we go. Four Nations, yeah. So apparently they're gonna. I heard this on another podcast. They are gonna be naming the first 6 for all 4 teams fairly soon, within a month or so. But they released the schedule. First 4 games are gonna be in Montreal, and the last 2 games are gonna be in Boston, with the championship in Boston. And I will definitely try and go to at least one of these games.
$5,000 to get
actually-
in.
I'm hoping not. So let me ask the panel here a question. What do you think would be a more expensive game to go to? A Monday 8:00 game or a Monday 1:00 matinee game?
The 8:00 for sure.
Probably the 8:00. Yeah.
Well,
Really?
just because
I always thought
it's
matinee is a convenience. Like, it's 1:00 in the middle of the day.
Haven't you been to a movie at 12 p.m. where the tickets are $5.50 or something like that? I haven't been to movies in forever.
it's a Monday.
Yeah, and everyone's at work.
Holiday Monday too, which is another reason why I might go. But I'm hoping they're not astronomical. I'm hoping that they have some kind of resale here where I can weasel my way in or something. But
I think the
no,
other.
this-
Sorry, Cass. The
Okay.
other thing to consider, though, it's not necessarily the times. It's going to be an inconvenience work-wise, either game. But who would you rather see? Canada and Finland or Sweden and US?
I don't. Whatever one's cheaper.
I
I just
think
want to get my foot in the building. I
Ah.
think it's gonna be outstanding. Like, I honestly, like, if Finland, Sweden was in Boston and it was cheap, I would have gone to that. I don't care.
imagine if it was US Canada at that 1 p.m. slot.
Yeah, there's a reason why that's at the Bell Center. it probably has more ass in seats or something like that.
Bell Center is the largest NHL stadium.
That's true.
You know how many?
It's 20,000 plus.
Yeah, so Bruins are 17 change, so there's another 3,000.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You'll have
So-
to keep up with the numbers once we get to that time next season.
Oh yeah, I'll be keeping
'Cause
an
that'll
eye
be
on it for
interesting.
sure. Yeah, we're gonna try our best with or without the misses, but I don't know.
So-
if I'm gonna listen to
21,000
this
exactly. 21,000
I think-
exactly.
one. Bruins are like 17-7 change, so
Well, if you can't bring her, you could just bring me. I'll invite
True, but
myself.
You're gonna have to. There we go. Perfect. I like that.
I'll pay out.
Just get a plane over there. There we go. There we go.
So
I know.
just so we
You just got done beating your dog, so
just so we can say we did go over the schedule. Here's what the schedule looks like if you haven't seen it. The first 4 games will be in Montreal at Bell Center. Canada versus Sweden, US versus Finland, Finland versus Sweden, US versus Canada. Then it's going to shift to the TD Garden in Boston, where Cass is going to try and do whatever he can within his own moral compass to get a ticket.
Which is very low
And
to make sure.
that'll be Canada versus Finland, Sweden versus US, and then last but not least, the championship.
Yeah,
Very
everyone plays each
interesting.
other once, right?
Yeah,
sure,
it's a very interesting way they're going about it. It's not like I guess it's just 4 teams, so you can't do like a bracket
Yeah.
type thing.
It'd be
It'll
over
be
way
interesting.
too quick.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is, I'm surprised. I'm kind of just staring at this for the first time. It's interesting that it's not spread out more. Like, Saturday has 2 games, Monday has 2 games, and then they play Thursday. You know what I mean? So I wonder how that's gonna work. Like, they're gonna kick you out for the 1 o'clock game, then rescan tickets for the 8 probably. But the good thing about it is U.S. Canada is Saturday 8 o'clock prime time. It's on ABC, which is good for people in the States. That's just a regular channel, which will be huge. I think you'll see the numbers pop for that for sure, which will be outstanding for the sport of hockey.
Well, the other side as well is player impact. Like, I get why it's so condensed because you're essentially, I believe they announced they're also going to do an all-star game with it, right? Or was that for the Olympics?
I think that's for the Olympics.
I thought they were doing an all-star game to
This is why we need
prepare
a
for this tournament.
Um,
Almost positive. Look right now.
Okay, while he looks at that, the other side is players playing in this. While there's an uproar about the Czech team not being in there, if I'm a Bruins fan, I'm happy with Pasta not playing in this. Because any player who's playing in this, that's a lot of hockey, and then you've got to go right back into the NHL season.
It's going to be interesting because to say how much these players put into it physically, right? So it might be. I don't think it'll be as loose as the 3-on-3 All-Star games have been, but I don't think you see them play that hard either.
So this Four Nations tournament is going to sub the All-Star game, so no All-Star game next year, and then they're going to do an All-Star game in 2026 at UBS Arena before they send off everyone to the Olympics.
That's the interesting one. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Really weird.
I think they're both interesting, honestly. I mean, that's a lot of hockey games, like you mentioned. So it's and then to roll right back into it, at that point, there's gonna be probably another 40 games left. Like, you just played 10 over a course of 10 days. Like, it's just, I don't know, a lot.
But the plus side, as always, I'm gonna
8
contradict
days.
myself. Let's take Canada, because everyone likes to boast that Canada provides the most players, right? So you've got Canada playing on the 12th.
Means nothing.
They don't play again until the 15th, right? And then you've got a quicker turnaround for the 17th, and then potentially the 20th. So it's not like they're all playing back to back to back to back to back. But still, I'd rather players rest, in my opinion. All right, move on. Someone.
Yeah, so the next topic we have to discuss is we have confirmed that some teams are going to get new logos and new jerseys, which people were not expecting when Fanatics was announced to be taking over. This is all reported from Aesthetics. Great person to follow both on X and their YouTube channel, especially if you're someone who's into New Jerseys, following whatever's happening there.
Not the state of New Jersey.
No one's into New Jersey. Okay,
Sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry.
But new
hockey jerseys.
No one likes New Jersey, but everyone likes New Jerseys. Gotcha.
Yes. Sorry about that. So he released a video breaking down all 32 teams' likely makeup for next year. Like Boston's going to go back to the jerseys they were wearing the previous season, because this whole thing they did this year was just for the 100th anniversary. But definitely what stuck out in that video is the announce that the Anaheim Ducks and Los Angeles Kings are getting a total rebrand. New logos, new jerseys, like new everything. And from what Aesthetics has posted, he wasn't able to show us the logos, but he's seen them. And this is what he has to say for the Anaheim Ducks. Their new logo will be a modernized version of the Mighty Ducks logo.
Yes!
So they are going back to the Mighty Ducks. I don't know if they're going to rename themselves.
Quack,
they might.
Quack. Yes. That's sweet. I love that logo. It's the best one.
Yeah, and their color scheme will be orange, black, and gold.
I don't love that as much.
Yeah, I don't like that one as much, but okay, whatever.
But yeah, they're not going to the eggplant and the teal. Or they're not
It's
teal.
the Taco Bell. It's Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Like old school Taco Bell.
So yeah, they are not going back to the eggplant, but they are going back to the Mighty Ducks logo. And then for the Los Angeles Kings, they are also deciding to go with a more 90s theme. They're going to be a modernized version of the Gretzka era. Yikes.
I know that guy.
Gretzky era logo in black and silver with a new crown design inside. So that's it. Basically, when Los Angeles transitioned to the logo they currently had now, they basically just shrunk that 90s logo and now they're going to expand back to it where it says Los Angeles
Oh, I
inside,
like
the
that.
crest. Yeah. So they're basically both these teams are going back to their 90s style. We don't know what the jerseys are going to look like yet, other than the colors. The Kings will still be black and silver, and like as I said, the Ducks are going to go to an orange, black, and gold color scheme.
So I have a suggestion for the LA Kings, and it's to bring back the Burger King. I know how much everyone loves the Burger King jersey. Everyone loves the Burger King jersey. Bring it back. Brett loves it. It's Brett's favorite jersey. No, I'm actually really excited about this. I do really. Who doesn't like the Mighty Ducks logo, right? I think those old school '90s LA Kings jerseys were awesome. Patrick Swayze loves the Burger King jersey too. Thanks, Patrick Swayze. I'm really excited to see what they look like. It sounds like they're going to announce them. It sounds like they're going to be revealed by the time the 2024 NHL draft begins on June 28th. So we'll know in a few weeks what these new looks are going to look like.
Yeah, and like that whole draft is really going to be the reveal of all the Fanatics jerseys, because
That's gonna be
Fanatics is
fun.
now once the Stanley Cup final is over, Fanatics now is in charge of making the jerseys, which includes the NHL draft. So when the prospects get their jerseys,
Oh, I didn't
they'll
even think
be the
about that.
Fanatics jerseys.
I didn't even think
Yeah.
about that. So make sure you get your Adidas branded NHL jerseys right now.
This is about
Order
it.
them
This
right
is
now.
about it.
I am in no means getting paid by the NHL to say this, but you should order them right now if you want to buy another jersey. Otherwise, you're gonna have to get one in 2035.
Well, it's get them if you can, because in round 1 of the playoffs at the American Airlines Center, my friend and I, we went to get jerseys because of Adidas no longer doing them. So we wanted to make sure we got the Adidas jerseys we wanted before they were gone. There was so limited quantities for players that it was pick and choose what you want.
You got a
based
Nils
on what's
Lundqvist jersey,
available.
didn't you?
No, I got a Stankoven.
That's a good one though.
But
Can't be
it's
upset with that.
they seem to stop restocking very early.
Yeah.
So it's
They
it's
almost
more of
knew
a
you
matter.
guys were going to lose.
What's that?
They
Almost
did.
like they knew you guys weren't going to make it that far.
The fix is in.
But yeah, get them if you can.
I did end up getting another jersey. I picked up. It actually just came right before the podcast started. I picked up the third Rangers jersey, the alternate one.
Nice. And just a quick, I didn't mention this. So Jesse, that third jersey is expected to still be in rotation even with this Fanatics takeover.
I
Along
did-
with the other teams that have third, like Dallas Stars, their neon green one. So those should all be back.
I did see that. So it's still going to be the Adidas branded ones, right?
I mean, it'll be made by Fanatics,
I
but
see.
the plan is for it to look the same.
I see. I did see, and I didn't confirm it. I didn't see if it was confirmed, but the New York Islanders alternate jersey, the one with the NY and the hockey stick, it seems like that one's not coming back next year under this Fanatics thing, which is
that
fine.
ultimately, and that ultimately is a team decision, not a Fanatics decision, because they are clearly willing to produce the jerseys the teams want. Because, like I said, they're still going to be doing the Rangers third, the Dallas Stars third, the Goat Head still going to be in
Good.
rotation for the Sabres. So, yeah, if the team's not returning a third jersey, it's not because of Fanatics. It's because the team decided to stop using it.
Jeez, all you guys getting new jerseys. I can tell you guys don't have to pay a dime for daycare. Jeez.
Well, that's your fault. Don't blame us. Well, Brett has a kid. Don't blame Ethan and I because you decided to have children.
Oh, I also get free
$30.
daycare.
Oh, there you go.
I also get free daycare because Steven goes to the daycare at the church that I work at, so he
I
gets to
know,
go to
$750 a week.
Yep.
Yeah, no, thanks. Anyone else got anything about the jerseys? Cool.
I hope to have some surprises. That's all I'll say. I hope it's not just going to be like a status quo transition. I think if you want to really make your mark as Fanatics, maybe offer some. Maybe there will be more jerseys coming out throughout the year.
They need to be concerned about the quality.
Yeah.
If you guys are interested, anyone who's listening to us, definitely go to Aesthetics YouTube channel, watch the video he released about this. it gives you just a ton of detail, even more detail than I just gave you guys during this little segment.
Utah.
I don't know about the Penguin, Patrick Swayze. I don't remember him mentioning it. Definitely check out the video. If they're doing it, he'll say it.
Utah. Once again, we're going to talk about.
Oh, not them again.
Which it's really just like a minor update, but they have announced like their finalists even further than what we talked about last time.
Down to six.
Down to 6, yeah. The finalists are the Utah Blizzard, the Utah Yeti, the Utah Mammoth, the Utah Outlaw, the Utah Venom, and surprisingly, the Utah Hockey Club. As if it's just going to be like
Hockey Club.
Permanent.
Club.
I think they I think they snuck that one in there and didn't really get all the votes. There's no way, right?
Hockey Club. Club.
I haven't made the post yet, but I did poll the admins of Freeze the Puck Hockey for these names, and it was close. The Utah Hockey Club got one less vote than the Utah Outlaws.
So
Utah
Yeti
Outlaws was the most.
What the heck?
Yeti was third place, followed by a 3-way tie with Venom, Mammoth, and Blizzard.
You know, Jesse, I know you said that none of these names are stuck in the past. I don't know. Utah Yeti, it's starting to... I think that's it. I think that should be it. I'd be shocked if they went any other way.
That's probably the direction they're going to go in. It wouldn't make any sense to be anything else. The other ones are just not... Blizzard and Yeti... Oh, I'm sorry. Blizzard and Mammoth are not appealing at all.
I want Mammoth.
No, come on.
I'm
I think
fine with
Outlaws
Mammoth.
is more
I
appealing.
hate Outlaws.
I
don't.
I think Outlaws is more appealing than Mammoth.
Outlaws doesn't make sense for Utah. They're the least from Outlaws as you can get. That's something like an Arizona team.
Yeah.
Triggered in Texas.
He's not wrong,
for
though.
Me, like Blizzard, Yeti, and Mammoth remind me too much of like Avalanche winter theme, stuff like that. Venom, all I think is We Are Venom. You know what I mean? Can't really use that in my mind.
Dude, that'd be a sick alternate jersey.
Yeah. Hockey Club just makes me think of soccer. So by default, I went with Outlaws in my vote.
Hockey Club. Club.
I think Yeti will be it. And yeah, you'll have the Kraken and the Yeti duking it out. Imagine that center ice video before they play. That'd be sick.
Colorado's going to lose their mind if it goes Yeti. Absolutely.
At least this specific admin at Freeze the Puck will.
They're already losing their minds over the potential names.
I think they all forgot that Utah is literally the state right above them.
They know. They know.
They're to the left. To the left.
Oh, to the left.
It should be like.
Sorry.
Utah Flurries or Utah Freeze to really stick it up the butt of the Colorado people.
Oh my.
They should just go with Avalanche. They should just go with Avalanche. The Utah Avs.
The Utah Avalanche.
The Utah Avs.
We will also be the Avalanche.
Tonight's NHL ESPN game will be the Avalanche versus the Avalanche.
Utah versus Colorado. Avalanche. What it should be.
All right, moving on.
So yeah, Utah, just pick a name, make it good.
Utah Yeti.
There you go, and that's it. You heard it here first.
Stop adding names. Just go with this poll and be done with it.
So before we get into the next topic, I have something I want to bring up that I forgot to put in the chat because
the worst. Yes,
but has to do with the PWHL. 9 days after winning the championship, Minnesota gasses their GM. It came out that their captain, Kendall Coyne Sheffield, and the coach went to the league and said this woman needs to be removed. There's no further details on what happened. There's no story coming out. There's not even like with the smoke, there's fire. There's no rumors. There's nothing. Just came out, nothing basically. Which is kind of crazy. I guess the fans are pissed. Like, people are saying they're not going to renew the season tickets now. I think some of the players on that team was mad. Like, this woman's a I think she's in the Hall of Fame. She's in the USA Hall of Fame for sure.
I don't know.
Two hockey Hall of Fames. 3-time U.S. Olympian. Yeah, it's wild.
So she's got the credentials, and what happened there?
Yeah.
Patrick Swayze says Chicago scandal in Minnesota.
Probably not that. Cass, I didn't know if you were gonna get into the other thing that's been all over X. I don't know if we want to get into it because it's very controversial.
Well, now you're gonna have to say it because I don't know it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Quenville?
yeah, this can be a sensitive topic for some people. To me, it doesn't bother me, but
Trigger warning.
So Britta Curl was selected in the second round by Minnesota, and she's someone who has basically what I've seen is expressed more non-pro LGBTQ stuff, and a lot of the members of PWHL fall in that community, and Britta Curl's like been a part of different stuff that's kind of like not with that. So now Minnesota fans are even more pissed that they picked a player who's like, I guess I don't think she said anything, but like they said they went on her Twitter and she's like liked and commented stuff that was anti-LGBTQ
I see.
stuff. So
Are we drafting based on opinions or based on skill?
That's how I feel. That's how
Yeah.
I feel. I think that it just get your best player. I mean, if they have different views than stuff, I mean,
People are going to get mad at it regardless.
Yeah. It's kind of like people getting mad at crud.
Caitlin Clark.
That's not who I was going to say. But dang it, who's the guy? He plays for Carolina right now. He's the defense.
Tony DeAngelo.
Tony DeAngelo. He got some crap about some similar stuff. I feel like.
No, he's a jerk
Let people
off.
have their opinions.
Yeah, he's a jerk off though. So,
yeah. What were you gonna say, Cass? Though, Cass had something.
I was gonna pull an Ethan and be like, "Who cares what she can have her own opinion, but at the same time, when you're a professional athlete and you put yourself in the limelight, you should shut the hell up and just do your job."
But she, like I said, she hasn't said anything. But
yeah, but if it's out there, it came from somewhere. I thought you were gonna go on about the Joel Quenneville thing where Kyle Beach came out and said that he was okay with Joel Quenneville coaching. But Gary
that
Bettman
is
also
another interesting story. Yeah.
Yeah. So just a little tidbit there, but we could talk about this next topic, which I think is
wait, Jesse.
bullshit,
Jesse had something. Jesse, what were you gonna say?
I just think it's weird to have it happen in such a way where both the coach and the captain of the Minnesota team like ousted their head coach their GM after winning a championship. Like it's just bizarre, and there's literally nothing about it. There's like nothing.
There's bound to be something.
There's gonna have to be. I know that the GM. I know the GM released a statement, but there was no detail about that or anything.
It was just a nothing burger.
Yeah, it's just bizarre that all of this happened in such a way where everything is so vague.
It's kind of.
Is anyone else? No, go ahead.
Just super quick. It's kind of funny that we're talking about this because it sounds like this player, she's gotten into hot water just based on like things she's liked on X.
Right. Yes.
And ironically, I just read today, Elon Musk has now made it a thing where they're going to be removing the ability to see what people have liked for this exact reason. It wasn't like it's because of this one PWHL player, but just in general, like if you go and look at what any public figure has liked on X, you're going to find something you don't agree with. And so the whole
do not go to my X account and find what I like. Don't do it. It's a new account. You won't find anything.
Always saying screw the Boston Bruins, and then he gets drafted by them 5 years later. Yeah, that one pops up all the time. No, I'm not involved in paying attention to women's hockey as much as I would like to, but I was kind of shocked that Amanda Kessel was selected second to last overall in this draft. Is she's not as good as she used to be, or
I think they're not sure if she's gonna play. So they're kind of like, hey, this is our last pick. Let's get the rights to her in case she is gonna play. Yeah. That way she plays for us. That's I'm not 100% on that, but I'm gonna say I'm 80% sure that's why she was picked that low.
Patrick Swayze says, I liked Washington Capitals posts that are pro Tom Wilson. I told you not to go to my account, dude. I told you. Why would you say that? Speaking briefly about drafts, the NHL draft, there's a lot of rumors that players want to shorten it. I'm sorry, NHL agents want to shorten it. They believe the NHL entry draft is too long and that a 4-round draft would be more beneficial for players. Elliot Friedman said this on his podcast that the NHL Players Association could fight to have the NHL draft shortened in the next collective bargaining agreement, which I believe is going to happen in 2026, I think.
That sounds right.
Oh, I'll give my quick opinion on this first. I think this is a load of crap. Because as a 5th, 6th, and 7th round player, you're most likely playing in the juniors. You're most likely playing in the NCAA. You don't get signed to that entry-level contract right away. So you have, I think, 3 years to prove yourself at that level, and you will get signed if you play well in that level. And if you don't, you don't. It doesn't affect, you know what I mean? Like,
Well, Will
if
Smith,
you get drafted. Will Smith, as in Will.
not slap
San Jose?
Chris Rock. No, yeah. Will Smith was
It's just a
just
story.
finally
Come
signed,
on.
but he was drafted last draft.
Yeah, but he didn't play a year at all in college. Like I'm saying, like all these kids that are like 5th, 6th, 7th round picks, they're probably in the NCAA or they're probably in World Juniors where they can still showcase their skill. So if they pop there, they'll probably get signed to an entry level deal, and if they suck, they probably won't. Like I think this is kind of agents getting greedy and just trying to get more people to represent. You know what I mean? Like try and get more money for their players. I don't know, I think it's stupid.
So part of the reasoning that Friedman mentioned is that a shorter draft will allow more players to sign a contract. They're saying that the further you are picked, the further delayed your pick in the draft would be, it becomes more difficult for those players to break into the NHL and be able to sign an entry-level contract. And the NHL teams hold those rights for a number of years before they either trade them or they're relinquished.
But
I think
like,
it's 3 seasons.
so instead of being a 5th, 6th, or 7th round draft pick, you'll just be undrafted and won't get drafted at all. That kinda
Exactly.
sucks.
But
You know, that's
what
kind
they're
of
what they're trying to say is when you're selected 5th through 7, you're kind of stuck waiting until that team needs you. Versus
Right.
when you're undrafted, you can kind of just show your talent to any team that needs a player like you instead of being stuck in this one team system. That's the point they're making.
with that big of an undrafted player pool. It's going to be so much crazier.
it-
And I know,
no, the-
Ethan,
yeah,
what you're going to
yeah.
say. You're going to be like, "Well, Joe Pavelski was a 7th round draft pick."
No, I was going to say
okay?
Jamie Benn. Jamie Benn was a 5th
Damn it.
rounder. John Klingberg was a 5th rounder.
Artemi Panarin was undrafted.
Kirill
There's some
Kaprizov was a
gems.
5th rounder. If the Bruins traded away that pick to Minnesota.
Like I get
But-
shortening it maybe by 1 round, sure, but
I
like
think
to
that's
just go to 4 rounds, that's dumb.
You don't see any other sport talking about this at all. You know what I mean?
Well,
It's just
NBA only
great. You
has
have-
2.
I was going to say, aren't they
Yeah, but
other?
like,
They also shorter?
well, like the NHL, you got all these feeder leagues, AHL, ECHL, that you could like.
True.
If these players perform, they could play down there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You see all these kids going to the AHL. You see the Johnny for the Bruins, the Johnny Beecher, the Mason Lorelei. I know they were 1st and 2nd round picks, but you get the feeder system to pop them back and forth. It's not like you only have a 23-man roster and that's it. Like
Well,
I think you'd take an opportunity away.
And the other thing is, even a 1st round pick, you don't have to sign with the team. So if the whole argument is we don't like the financial aspect of it or anything, you don't have to sign. So if you're taken in the 7th round, don't sign with the team who gets the rights. It's really you're getting drafted for the right to sign you.
But they're having to wait those 3 years instead of trying to go for an NHL job. Right? That's
But
the
you
thing.
can sign with the team. It's more so like I don't like the team, so I have to wait 3 years.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Do you want to play in the NHL or not? Like, what's the goal here?
Patrick Swayze says, "Don't some just give up and go to Europe and play? Yeah, definitely.
Only if
But
they've committed
also-
crimes.
Well, I was gonna say also a lot of these 5th, 2nd, 7th round picks, like Kirill Kaprizov, and you guys mentioned one other Euro Russian player who was drafted low, Parnarin. So like guys like that,
Wasn't
they're already over.
drafted, Yeah.
They're already over there in Europe. So I mean, it's not a bad option.
Yeah.
So Tom brought up a good point too. He said with expansion on the horizon again, that's why they want to shorten it to make the talent pool deeper. I think they would want to do the opposite. Like if you got more teams going, you think you'd want more players playing hockey so people can scout them. That's just my opinion. By now everyone should know where I stand. I say more teams the better. The more players the better. Let the players battle it out and figure it out themselves. More competition is better. Steel sharpens steel.
Not the only interesting draft topic we have, though.
This one's good.
They
I thought this was
I love
funny.
this.
supposedly, there are some there is a team asking prospects about their Snapchat score, which if you're not familiar with Snapchat,
I'm not. so
the
help me.
more you use Snapchat, your score goes up. So it's essentially asking how much are you on Snapchat? And then the other one was what's your Uber rating? So if you've ever taken an Uber, you get the chance to rate your driver, but your driver also gets to rate you based on 5 stars. So it's a weird way to go about trying to find personal details about a social aspect of a player's life.
Who do you think's asking it?
So
the prospects won't say.
there was a report from The Athletic that says it was Utah.
That's ballsy.
That's weird. You think Bill Armstrong would have been asking those questions before, though? Like,
I would have thought
been
it
a
was
GM
Chicago.
forever, you know?
Maybe this is
I would've guessed.
maybe this is a ramification of what happened with Alex Galchenyuk.
Stevie Y, I thought.
I mean, it's not like it's not illegal. You can ask
think it's
whatever.
brilliant.
It's just weird, in my opinion.
My Uber score
he's
is
gonna-
a 2.3, so
Out of what?
Jeez.
5. So I don't think they're going to
That's not
take
good,
me.
Jesse.
I don't use
What
Uber.
are you doing in Uber?
I don't use Uber. I go in them and I fart and then I leave. All right, thanks. Bye.
I mean, I think it's good. It shows, at least for the Uber one, it shows the character of the player you're drafting. You know, if they're disrespectful pieces of crap, or if they're actually mature and adultish to a certain extent. Like, I don't hate it. I mean,
what
it's
if
not
you
like
don't
you're like
use
Babcock
either?
asking to see. I don't know. Well, then you got nothing to show. But it's not like you're like Babcock asking to see the phones. You know what I mean? And taking everything out of that. So that's good.
I'm just
I don't
not
know.
sure what the Snapchat score is really like. If a player uses Snapchat a lot, they're less likely to draft them.
Addiction to social media? Maybe?
Well,
Yeah, or like sending stupid shit.
yeah. I mean, I rarely have ever used Snapchat, but I think the opinion for most grown adults is like Snapchat is used. It's the one platform that you can send something and it disappears. There's no record.
I see.
So if you've got a really high score and you're using it a lot, maybe you're, I don't know. There's so much assumption that goes involved with that. Goes hand in hand.
Ethan never uses it because it takes him days to open my chats. And I'm
That's
like,
true.
why? What is he talking about 3 days later? What did I send 3 days ago?
Cass just sends
Oh.
videos of construction work in Boston.
Porta party art.
We're going to talk
Yes.
about this a little bit later, but Tom says that the Capitals are rumored to be buying Snapchat, so it might have been that.
Yeah, that's
Oh.
not shocking.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was really it about the draft stuff.
We'll go to Amanda for our next topic. Oh, wait. No. Guess we can't do that.
It seems like the Carolina Hurricanes. No, but it sounds like the Carolina Hurricanes are going to make Jake Gensel's signing rights available for trade. Elliot Friedman said this on his podcast as well, that Gensel's signing rights, the Carolinas looking to trade them in exchange for a mid-round draft pick, which is really a little weird to me. I thought they were going to try to fight tooth and nail to keep him. I mean, he worked
They've got
very
so
well.
much.
I know, but Just the way that he worked with that team, it feels like he fit in with Brindamore's system perfectly.
And they gave up
What
so
I
much
heard-
to get him.
That too.
Yeah, what I heard is he wanted to test free agency no matter what. So I don't know why a team would trade for his rights anyway. And I heard he's still interested in signing with Carolina, but he does want to see what's out there. So
Interesting.
it's probably going to be his like only big contract. So might as well cash in for the kid. I don't blame him one bit. You know what I mean? He's already got his cups. Might as well set up his children's.
You know what's the crux of this for Carolina is extending Jordan Stahl. You don't extend him, that's going to help you with this. But you
that was a dumb
did,
move.
and it wasn't even the Kim guy, the chemistry guy, Doctor, whatever we want to call him, Doctor Strange, sure,
Doctor Strange.
You know, yeah,
Doctor Love,
Doctor something, I don't know. Yeah, he's got so much he's got to work with. I think just getting this out there is strategic to maybe alleviate your workload, and you might get something out of it. I don't know what you would, but I don't think he stays in Carolina.
I don't think Carolina is going to have enough money to pay him. Honestly, I mean, that makes sense. And if he's looking for a bigger signing, then there's other teams that have the money that will be able to pay him, that will give him what he wants.
Yeah, they'd have to make a lot of sacrifices with the rest of their roster if they wanted to sign him, and I don't think they're willing to do that.
Is he a RFA?
UFA.
No, he's UFA. He's been in
So-
the league way too long to be an RFA.
What's the point of saying this if you're Carolina? What?
A, you could lock him up sooner, and B, you can lock him to an 8-year contract compared to a 7-year contract.
So,
But they're-
Keith Yandel on the Rangers was going to be a UFA, and the Panthers traded for his rights to re-sign, even though he's going to be a UFA.
But that would be
but this has-
pre-July 1st.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So it's essentially just trying to get something out of it.
You get more time
How'd that work?
to negotiate. Sorry, Cass, go ahead.
I was going to say, didn't Keith Yandel get bought out by the Florida Panthers?
Yeah, he did.
Okay,
Not
just
one.
making sure.
That was
Okay.
that was Dale Talon though, not Bill Zito.
Better them than the Rangers.
Speaking about buyouts and stuff like that, the new salary cap has been released. It is at $88 million, which is about $300K more than they thought it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Put it into reference, New York Rangers have about 12.75. Panthers have 21. Dallas has 15.75, and the Boston Bruins have almost 23 million to work with.
Yeah.
So
We got
there
16.
is some money.
We have 16.
There is some money to dish out there for some free agent. This free agency class coming up, like there are a couple good names, but it's not that deep at all. At all.
And given
Oh.
that extra money that the Panthers now are going to have, that free agency pool might get shorter if they're able to re-sign Sam Reinhart because he's
Nah, the Rangers
kind
are
of
going
one
to
of the
sign
big
him.
names. We'll see.
He's really like Montour too.
I'm
Well-
okay if Montour goes, but
What about Kulikov?
6 defense. I'd rather. So if
I'd
I don't
rather
want to
Sam
get into this too
Reinhart.
much because I'd start like ranting. Off. But
Well, it
yeah, I'd
depends.
rather.
When you guys win the cup, Reinhardt's gonna get 13.
When the inevitable happens.
Yeah, you already said you're
If-
playing in the parade. So
if Sam Reinhart resigns regardless of the results of the cup final, I'd rather them not resign those other guys and we have some talent in our prospect pool like Mackie Samoskevich. There was a defenseman Benning, I forget his first name. I'd rather see those guys get a shot than we resign someone like Kulikov.
the nice thing for you guys too is it's tax free in Florida. So like let's say an $8 million contract in Florida is like a $12 million contract in Toronto. You know what I mean? So you got that going for you. Just like I think it's tax free in Vegas too, if I'm not mistaken.
Anywhere in
And
the
Dallas?
U.S. is
Anywhere
gonna
that
be
doesn't have an income tax. Washington doesn't have an income tax either.
There you go. So like that's way different than like I'm pretty sure Canada you get like crushed.
Canada
Like
gets
it's like
screwed.
30% or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah,
I think it's closer to 50%.
you get paid in ruples too. It's wild.
There was that incident with Tavares where Tavares owes like a bunch of money to the Canadian government because of the tax rate over there and all that.
Speaking about getting screwed, like I mean, this came out a couple years ago, but I always think about the poor soul. Poor Jack Johnson. He had his parents watching his money, and they screwed him and basically invested his money like horribly. And he was basically bankrupt 2 years ago after playing years and years in the NHL.
Did they put it into NFTs?
They with Brady, yes.
That's ridiculous.
No, not real money. That was hilarious. Anyway,
Oh my god.
Back to the salary cap, though. The NHL and the NHLPA also announced that per the collective bargaining agreement, the lower limit of the cap for next season is going to be $65 million, and the midpoint's going to be $76.5 million. So that floor is going to go up by a little bit.
And sadly, you can still break the system for playoffs with LTIR.
They'll talk about that, I'm
that-
sure, in the next CBA.
I hope.
Patrick Swayze.
yeah.
while we're on,
Patrick Swayze wants to know where the Rangers are with Igor Shesterkin. I don't believe they've spoken anything about that. There's been rumors that he wants $12 million a year, which is a lot of money. But there's not really much going on about that other than that. I think he's got another year left, too.
He also doesn't
1
speak
year,
English.
5
He speaks no English. Yes, that's correct.
Real quick before we move on from this, who has the most dead money in the league?
Is Minnesota?
No.
Minnesota.
Utah
They
has
clean
like
that
the
up.
most cap space.
No,
No, you
dead
said
money.
dead, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if Utah still has that, but I know for a while that Arizona was collecting dead player contracts. I think they still have Shea Weber, I'm pretty sure.
They only have
Players that are still alive but are on IR.
yeah,
Montreal.
Technically, Shea Weber's not dead money. He's LTIR. So
Oh.
dead money is like a buyout.
Oh.
Montreal?
No, it's
like-
Minnesota.
It's Minnesota because of Parise
Minnesota, that makes
and
sense.
Suter. But second is I was shocked. It was the Predators.
Really?
Matt Duchene, the Matt Duchene buyout.
Johansson.
Yeah.
So they have,
11.8. I'm gonna jump over the next thing on our list
That's
because
what I
this
was
kind
gonna
of fits
suggest.
into what
Yep.
we have.
Tom's here in
one
chat,
thing
too,
I'll-
so you can talk directly to him. He's a Capitals fan.
One thing I will say real quick before we get into this next thing is we're going to talk about cap stuff, what we think teams are going to do once the Stanley Cup ends. So we'll have an episode kind of just devoted to that kind of stuff.
Hockey's already
But
over for
speaking
three of
of-
us.
before July 5th, we will. Because
Yeah.
after that, we'll be screwed.
Speaking of cap, how do we find this stuff? How do you learn about cap and where the teams are? Where do you see the numbers? Well, we've been using Cap Friendly.
Mhm.
Just like
and
everyone
that-
else.
Yeah. Who
Including
wants to
NHL
bash
teams.
Brian McClellan?
It was
Who
me.
wants to start it off?
It was me. It was me. You already have an aging superstar who you're just pushing him across the finish line to break.
Well, wait.
Wayne Gretzky's
Say
goal
what
record.
happened first. What happened?
So it has been reported that the Washington Capitals are going to be complete scumbags and buy Cap Friendly just to shut it down. The theory is that some NHL front offices actually use this website to keep track of contracts and stuff like that. It is a very thorough tool. It is amazing. Since doing this podcast, obviously, I've spent countless hours on it, and it is very in depth. It has entry level stuff. It has everything.
Everything.
You could ask
Everything
for.
you need.
Yeah,
My
as in
armchair
there.
GM.
And yeah, and they're buying it just to shut it down. It's crazy. It's shitty. It sucks. But apparently the other popular site, not nearly as popular, but Puckpedia, I believe it's called.
Yes.
Yes.
They're going to be doing a bunch of server updates. They're going to be doing a bunch of updates. So they'll be the next one for the next 5 years until they get bought out.
They're
So
getting called up to the major leagues.
Now, one thing to mention with this cast that, and maybe you were going to get to it, but I was going to say the person who owned Cap Friendly before he passed away, and that's what kind of like slowly led down this road of this happening.
thought it was a different website.
There's two sides to this because we're all gonna, and rightfully so, jump down the throat of McClellan for doing this. But there's the other side as well for the people running Cap Friendly. They took an offer.
They got the
And
money.
so, yeah,
They're getting
They-
paid.
they could have just said no. So there is
Would
that
you?
side.
Would you?
What was? Did they?
I don't know. They didn't.
release
They
how
didn't
much it
no,
was?
they didn't. No.
That's what I'd want to know.
If you built up this website to be what it is today, and you got an offer, let's just say that it was $20 million to buy this website. I'm not.
And how many hours do you think it takes me to keep it running? Let's just just a 40
lot.
hours a week.
We'll
okay.
We'll say okay. At minimum, we'll say 40 hours a week. Sure. And you got offered $20 million.
Yeah, I'd take it. Sorry, guys.
Come July 5th, that website's going down. There's no
Yeah.
doubt about it. I'm taking the money too. They got paid.
Yeah.
The real problem here is that the Washington Capitals are buying it and they're shutting it down. And they're revoking the contracts for all of the NHL teams to utilize this tool. And they're going to have all of this proprietary information to themselves. That's the problem.
I have another thought, but Cass has something. So
Yeah. So a couple things before we get too far. Brett said the owner of Cat Friendly died. That's incorrect. It was
Oh, man.
capgeek.com.
Oh.
Capgeek was before Cat Friendly.
Thank
He
you
did
for
his
the
own
correction.
thing.
Sorry.
He passed away at the age of 35 due to colon cancer, and that's kind of
Ooh.
when Cat Friendly kind of stepped into
Gotcha.
that void. Get your butt checked, everyone. So that's basically like when Cat Friendly became a mainstay in this. But let's make one thing clear. As far as I'm concerned, I don't blame owner of Cat Friendly for doing this. Like, take your bag and go. That's the American dream right there, or Canadian dream. Who knows what he is?
It would have to be
I'd
50
watch
million
him do it.
Canadian.
Yeah. And we're gonna do the sale in Florida after I become a Florida resident. So I mean, but yeah, it just stinks. Like the NHL, the least popular of the four sports, and you just keep on taking stuff away that the fans want to use. Like stay engaged with the sport. This is just another example. There was another one that they kind of the injury stuff, like lower body or upper body. Like you want to engage your fans. Like you want to be able to talk about something. I don't know.
One other thing I'll add is that Cap Friendly, and they were promoting this mostly starting last year, is they made one for the NBA. I think it's called Cap Swish. And I don't think the Capitals are buying that. So the people who own Cap Friendly are still going to be making money off that while also having this on top. So really a home run for them. Sucks
Washington
for us.
Wizards are actually buying that.
The Washington. It's just been
No,
announced.
just kidding.
It's just been announced by Zelliot Briebman that the Wizards.
Here's my take on the whole thing. You just barely made it out of this whole arena fiasco. Like you nearly just relocated because your arena's so crappy that everyone wanted you out. But you saved it. Now you're spending the money on this. So there's one aspect. The second aspect is if your real concern was that GMs use it, bring it up at the next CBA. Just like with the LTIR loophole, that is something, if everyone's doing it and you're just upset that people are doing it, then bring it up. Let the NHL make a rule that GMs can't use it. I don't know how you enforce that, but there are other ways to do what you're doing without spending money to buy a site just to shut it down. And then the last thing, Nick, who's been on the podcast, Carolina Hurricanes fan, he sent this screenshot. According to Friedman, the NHL frowns on the existence of sites like this one. Even though they should be doing it themselves, they consider it proprietary information, so the Capitals couldn't keep it open even if they wanted to. The league would say you cannot be partner to this and have it public, and also you couldn't make any money from it on any ads. So once the Capitals purchased it, it was coming down. This is kind of my big point. If the NHL has an issue with a site like this, and Puckpedia, watch out. You're probably going to get an offer at some point. Why does it go this way? That's what doesn't make sense.
And that's what Tom said in our chat too. I'm going to read his comment real quick. He says, "My understanding is the Capitals bought this for the API tools. The NHL is the one who stepped in and has told them that when the deal closes, it is to go dark. I could be wrong, but I'm under the impression it was going to stay live, but without certain tools available on it. But the NHL has vetoed it and said that it shuts down. So if that's the case, then all of my
That
hate
makes
goes to the
sense.
NHL and
Yeah.
not the Capitals."
It's a little bit of
Basically,
both.
the Capitals are doing the dirty work for the NHL through this, essentially.
I wish they
Okay,
said how much
50-50.
the deal was for.
Yeah,
I want to know
I-
how much this guy got paid.
maybe it'll come out after the deal goes through. It's so crappy. But it makes sense. Like, would you rather the Capitals be able to keep the site up and control it?
I'd rather it not have been sold.
Yeah, obviously. but looking at it through that point of view, isn't it best that it gets shut down rather than the Capitals owning it and it staying alive?
Yeah, I would prefer that it be either separate from any NHL team owning it, any NHL affiliated entity owning it, or it going down. So yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah. Anything else about this?
At that point, like, the NHL should have bought it. Like, the guy does a great job running it. It should have been owned by the league, and then there wouldn't have been. I'm just afraid in 2 or 3 years it's gonna be like, so and so was signed to a 3-year deal. Terms have not been disclosed per club policy because they don't have to.
Ugh.
That's what I'm worried about.
I
That
think
would be
there's more
annoying.
to the story than what
There has to be. If the case is, if the reason why it's going down is because the league doesn't want it available, there's definitely more to the story.
what's going
I
on in the back room.
I think they didn't want an NHL team, one specific NHL team, controlling all that information. I think that's where it came down to.
But like what also was said between the NHL and the Capitals?
Who knows? Who knows?
In this? Because
They said we'll give you Gretzky Ovechkin's goal-winning puck, goal-breaking puck, as long as you do this.
we're gonna give you the puck and he'll score the goal with this puck.
It's
That
magnetic.
puck
Don't
was
tell
great.
anybody.
Oh my gosh, that puck.
It'll be like that.
You don't
that
want it to
video
be
with the little-
magnetic. Just hit the post.
It'll be like that that clip with the young kid who gives the girl the baseball, but he really gives her the one out of his glove and keeps the one. the
Oh,
whole
that guy
ball.
was that kid was a genius.
Amazing.
He was a genius.
Amazing.
Well, I'll take this next one because
Oh shit.
because I called it. Jim Nill.
Robbed.
Oh shit.
Jim Nill won the GM of the Year award. The Jim Gregory, what it's called, for being the best GM. He received 17 first place votes, 8 second place votes, and 9 third place votes. Patrick Alvin received 6 first place votes, so about 11 difference.
About or
And-
exactly?
I think
It depends who you ask.
Ethan
Del
Math.
Zito received 7 first place votes, who finished third in the voting.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
this might be the only thing Brett and I agree on ever. Bill Zito got freaking shafted on this. This
No.
crap.
No.
Yes, 100%. You sign players like Sam Steele and Craig Smith, and you want to tell me
And
he
Matt
deserves the
Duchene.
GM of the year? Or
And then he
Matt
set
Duchene
off.
was nice.
He
But look
set
at
off.
what Bill Zito did just this year.
Tell
This
me.
year.
Rattle it off.
You want me to? I'll go off the top of my head. All those defensemen that he signed right in the beginning of the season,
Yeah.
trades that he made at the trade deadline. Yes, I know you got your golden goose and Chris Tanev, who's now going to be a free agent and now is not going to sign with Dallas.
Right.
But, and I know somehow in your twisted mind you think that kicked off the trade deadline.
It was
which
the
it
first
didn't.
big one.
But-
And every team did the third party
Congratulations.
salary retention after.
Yeah. And that also happened in previous years, so it's not like it's a new thing in the NHL. Kind of like abusing the cap in the playoffs too. But I don't think. Let's put it this way: at the beginning of the year, I think most people had Florida out of the playoffs, even though they went to the Cup last year. And you could all deny that, and I am not going to go find the tape.
I
'cause
think it
spent
was really
countless
just
hours-
us.
I think I spent countless hours proving Jesse
No,
wrong
there
on
was
that
a lot of
bet that I will
people.
never get back. It was definitely not worth the $20 to research all that footage.
Good.
So,
I'm glad I
not
wasted your
I'm not
time.
going back and saying that. But I would even say Patrick Alvin deserves it more than Jim Nill. I think it's ridiculous.
Speaking
It
of-
was 3 depth signings. It was the Tanev trade with the retention. I mean, he basically got Chris Tanev for nothing. And then the microtransactions with Logan Stankoven. Every day for like 2 weeks straight. It was Logan
Oh, and
Stankoven's been
interns
loaned to
filed
the
paperwork for him.
he basically did the
You know what I mean?
LTIR
Like,
thing
was
without doing the LTIR thing.
Some things
you
from
want him to win GM of the year while doing basically signing a couple depth pieces. He didn't make any big, oh my gosh, he definitely deserves this award. He made a couple paper moves and got a couple offliners, and you want him to win this award. It's crazy. I cannot believe I am defending the Florida Panthers GM right now, even though I've
You're
stripped
welcome,
him off
Brett.
probably for the last 5 weeks in a row, saying he deserves this. But I will not interrupt you anymore. I am sorry.
no, it's
He-
okay.
There you go.
Here's the last thing I'll say, and then you go, Brett.
Okay.
What will really tell a tale is what he does this offseason, which we'll get to in the.
But that doesn't
preview
matter for this
episode.
this award.
Right,
It
right.
doesn't
No,
matter.
no. I know. I'm just saying, going forward, maybe he'll get some respect from Cass after this.
Doubt it.
No, I think what really tells the tale is who's still playing, and that's Florida. Damn it, I did it again.
It's a win.
I was not
Go
going
ahead,
to talk.
Brett.
I'm not going to talk about Bill Zito. I'm going to talk about some other things that are interesting about the results of this poll. So this is voted on. This is the only award that's voted on after the regular season. It's voted on following the end of the second round. So the voters knew who was in the final 4, which was Dallas, Florida, New York, and Edmonton. And Ken Holland is the only one of those GMs for those 4 teams that was not in the top 4. Patrick Alvin was a finalist, so Vancouver's GM got higher than Edmonton despite not making it. Final 4. Ken Holland received 1 first place vote and 1 second place vote. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Ken Holland got so low despite them knowing that he got his team to the final 4. I mean, he's the one who decided to change the coaches, isn't he?
Yeah, but all this gets voted on before the playoffs, right?
No,
yeah.
This is the only one
No,
he just said.
This one's voted on following the second round. This is the only one that gets voted on
really?
after the regular season. Yes. And that was confirmed. I was watching. It was either Frank Saravelli I'm pretty sure it was Frank Saravelli who I saw say this. One other thing that's interesting, Danny Briere received 1 first place vote.
Who's paying? Who's paying that person?
Did not make the playoffs.
For getting rid of Sean Walker and not making the playoffs.
This sounds like the mafia.
And again, that's after the second round of the playoffs. So, we've let all this time go on. This guy's like, Danny Briere, he deserves this award. First place, vote for me.
Cat
to suffer through Ryan Johansson.
Cat in our Facebook chat says, "How did Alvin only get 6 first place votes? Did no one stay up late enough to watch the West Coast games?" I agree. It should have been him. It should have been him. It should have been him.
No, no one did.
I did, but I'm also right here, so makes sense.
It's real time for you.
It's prime time for me, baby.
Speaking of prime time, it's prime time for Stanley Cup talk.
All right, I'm leaving.
We're 2 games in.
Bye, guys.
No, what the heck?
Before we
No, yes, I am.
I think he
You're
was.
beating your dog.
Before we get into the game 1, game 2 recap, let's talk real quick. NHL made some history by being the first major sports league to have ASL streaming. So ASL, if you don't know what that is, that's American Sign Language, and that is, signing for deaf people. And my sister actually, she's not deaf, but she took a big interest early in her life in learning ASL. So I actually called her before we started the stream and got her opinion on it. And I learned some interesting things that I want to say real quick. There are 2 different areas of deaf community people. What she calls big D deaf and little d deaf. And big D deaf, think of like boomers. It's going to be older people super proud of where they came from. They don't want to be catered to. They've made it this long, so we don't need something like this. That's one aspect. And then there's little d deaf people. They aren't in a community of deaf people. They're like one person in their entire network, right? So there's always deaf people, according to her, they have very polarizing opinions about things like this. So on one hand, there are going to be a lot of deaf people that think this is stupid and they're good with closed captions. And it's like, we've made it this far. We don't need you to cater. But then the other area of deaf people, which I think this is where it helps the NHL, it's younger people and a younger audience who want to be seen, heard, no pun intended. They want things like this. And that's what the NHL, I think, is trying to do. Grow the game. That's the whole point, right? And the fact that they have it on a separate stream, so it's not just everyone has to see this person. I think it's great.
Did anyone watch it? I sent a link earlier in our Discord to it.
I didn't watch it live.
No, I didn't.
Like anything else you send, I don't watch it.
Cool. I'm glad that you're here. Thanks.
I watched it.
Go ahead, Brett.
I was just gonna say I didn't watch your particular one, but I did see a highlight of a goal from one of the games, and it was showing them like it was following a goal, and you could see them really excited, signing what I'm assuming is goal or they scored. I don't know ASL, but
neither do I.
The expressions was still pretty cool. They would show it. It's honestly was cool to just kind of see the broadcasters. I mean, you don't get to see the broadcasters when we're just watching a game.
So that's what I was gonna talk about is how it was presented. So it was like a little bit of a cutout of the game, the live game that was happening. The two broadcasters were on the right side of it. They had like a meter underneath the broadcast that showed how loud the crowd was. And I saw the goal that Edmonton scored. I think it was the first goal of the game from yesterday, and the crowd loudness meter was silent.
It was the only goal they've scored so far.
The only goal they've scored so far, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. And then at the bottom, they had each team's lines and the amount of time that they were out on the ice. Kind of similar to what the Datacast was doing on TNT, which I actually don't hate. I thought that was really cool. I'm not deaf, and I don't understand. I don't understand what they have to go through, but my thing is, how are you watching the broadcaster sign and the game at the same time? That seems a little difficult to do. So I would love to get somebody's opinion if anybody here is deaf, anyone in our chat is, on what that's like, because that seemed a little weird to me out of everything.
I'm not deaf, but how do you do like closed captions if you use captions?
I don't.
I was just gonna say, anyone who wants to complain about this needs a life. Like, what's the harm in doing this?
I think
only good can come out of this.
You learn how to do it. I used to hate closed captions, but then once I was with roommates or whatever it was, you can't have the TV super loud late at night, so closed captions just kind of became the go-to, and you learn how to do both at once. And people who read ASL, they're very good at looking at two things at once, which is super cool.
Yeah, they're looking at the expression of someone's face while they're signing it, so they're definitely used to looking at two things.
That makes sense.
The more I think about it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I think it's great for like those little D deaf people that my sister talked about, people who are in a home with hearing abled people. They want to watch the game. You want to watch the game. All of a sudden, now there's someone there that's helping you watch the game better. I think it's a cool thing. I don't think it's anything to get upset about. If you're like Cass said, if you get upset about this, get bent.
Get bent. That's right. Get bent.
So, we want to talk about games 1 and 2?
Nah, we can sign off.
You guys come on. Brett, why don't you take this off because no one else? Let me ask a question.
Sure.
Jesse, you've probably watched some of this, correct?
I've watched all of it.
Ethan?
I watched most of game 2. I missed part of game 1.
Right?
I've watched all 120 minutes.
Watch nothing. Not gonna lie.
So I'm a hockey fan. I'm glad you're here, Cass.
You have to figure I will be getting up in less than 6 hours right now. So I
He had
don't
a
have the
birthday.
mental
Happy birthday,
wherewithal.
Cass.
Happy birthday, Cass! Yeah.
Everyone say happy birthday, Cass. Yay!
God damn it, Laura!
He actually has the wrong date on his Facebook because I went to double check to make sure it was his
Oh.
birthday. He's got the wrong date on his birthday.
I knew his
So you
wife
missed-
wouldn't lie about it, so I figured it.
You both missed this conversation. Real quick tangent here. So, like, I think celebrating a birthday is dumb. You're basically celebrating that your parents had sex 9 months before you were born. But it's not a big deal for me. I like hate the celebration. I hate the bull crap. So every year and plus my thing is I told Jesse this. Every year when it's someone's birthday that it pops up on Facebook that it's their birthday, if I don't talk to them anymore, they get deleted on their birthday. So happy birthday to them. But,
It's the
Um,
reminder.
and it's always like people you don't talk to that are like, happy birthday on Facebook. So I purposely, the day before my birthday, I change it to the month after, and then the day
I've
after
done
I
that.
change it back.
I've done it.
And of course, Laura goes and screws it up by putting this big post that I'm old and I'm turning 35. And then I had someone come to work for the first time in 7 years today and say, wow, you're a lot fatter than you used to be than I saw you 7 years ago. So here's to 35. But anyway, yeah, I haven't watched any Stanley Cup finals coming full circle here.
I'll say I won't. I know I'm someone who rants, and I don't know how interesting I am to listen to. So I'll try to be shorter. But game 1 and 2 they were played so differently, but the result was the same, which was a Panther 3-goal win. I mean, Edmonton dominated game 1. I mean, the shot totals did tell the game of the. They told the story of the game. Edmonton controlled. They looked dangerous all game. Bobrovsky stood on his head. Then in game 2. Florida's the one who's controlling the play the majority of the time. Bob lets in a leaky goal, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is going to be Skinner's going to stand on his head. But ultimately, Panthers pushed through. They were able to do what Edmonton wasn't able to do in game 1 and actually make their offense lead to goals.
Yeah, there was the crazy stat. I think you posted it, Brett, about or I
Maybe.
saw it. I don't know where I saw it, but he has only allowed 1 goal through 2
Yes.
playoff games, and he's like 5th on the list, I think.
Oh yeah, he was the oldest goaltender. Sergei Bobrovsky, became the oldest goaltender to ever record a shutout in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals, and he's one of only 5 or 6 goaltenders to only allow 1 goal or less in the first 2 games of the Stanley Cup
Damn.
Finals. So,
Which
pretty
what's
impressive.
crazy is everyone in front of him basically had 2 shutouts through 2 games.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Is there anyone else even in contention for the Conn Smythe at this point? Like, assuming, let's say it goes 7 and Edmonton wins, and they're all like 2-1 games. Like, this might be the first year we see a losing player get the Conn Smythe.
It wouldn't be the first year. It's happened like 3 or 4.
No,
other
it's been a while though.
It has been a while. I think John Sebastian Jaguar was the last one who
Jeez.
Mm-hmm.
won in
2001, I think.
I think because it's the entire playoffs cast, I would say I don't think so. If it was just the finals, maybe. Bobrovsky was decent. He was good as enough. The first 3 rounds, he was not that game. That game 1 that we saw, Bobrovsky did not look that good in the rest of the games.
You're talking about this round or
I'm saying, yeah. So I'm saying because the Conn Smythe is the entire playoffs. It's not just the Cup Finals. And Bobrovsky was more kind of like above average, not elite in the first 3 rounds. He's looking elite so far in the finals. But if Edmonton wins, because it's all the playoffs and McDavid, I mean, if Edmonton wins, you assume McDavid's put up a lot of points and he's like
say
on a
Hyman.
record pace. I'd say McDavid for sure. If Edmonton ends up winning this thing.
Just have to hope they win and find out.
Patrick Swayze in the chat said or asked, was Waugh the last goalie to win it? He was not.
He was not.
2012, Jonathan Quick. The year before that, 2011, Cass's favorite, Tim Thomas. There,
Hey,
there
boy.
were Cam Ward in 2006. That's Amanda's favorite. Shout out, Amanda. Say something about it. Never mind. Yeah, there have been several.
Yeah.
But then Patrick Waugh.
John Sebastian is the last Conn Smythe winner to be on the losing team. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, no. I was just addressing.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying.
Um,
The last goaltender Conn Smythe.
yeah, I think Florida's running away with this.
Is anyone surprised by that?
No,
I didn't.
I think Edmonton fans are. They thought they were going to run us over.
they got.
Game 3 will be interesting. That building's gonna be electric.
But the Panthers have always been a better road team, so the fact that we went 2-0 at home is not good for Edmonton. But I'm not going to be. I try not to be that overly confident guy because then I don't want to look stupid afterwards.
I'm not gonna be the person who's like, oh, they got lucky against the Stars. I'm not saying that. I gave
Sounds
them
like you
all their.
already are.
I gave them their props last episode. Like they did outplay Dallas, but
What?
that was you can't do that twice in a row. They would have to do that twice in a row, and they don't have it in them. I'm shocked they got past Dallas because on paper it wasn't theirs to win. They did it, and props to them for that. But there's no way you're doing it twice. I don't think.
They did do it twice. They were down against Vancouver. And
Against
then
a
they were down
Vancouver
against
team
Dallas.
that was so beat up. Yeah,
here
good
we
job.
go.
They had their third
And
string
they-
goalie.
They beat LA. Oh man, what a task! I don't think you can do it. I think Florida could sweep it.
really.
If-
Nuts.
If we have Barkov, and we can talk about this now if you want, Jesse, if you got the videos, Resi. If we have Barkov, I think the chances of a sweep are a lot stronger. If we don't have Barkov, it's going to be a lot tougher. And there's some stuff up in the air. There was some more positive news from this. And if you guys aren't sure what I'm talking about, Draisaitl laid out elbow to Barkov's face right here. Got him. Barkov was holding his jaw following this hit, and he was down on the ice for a long time. And to me, what my instant fan reaction was like, wow, what a dirty hit. Suspend this guy. Worst player dirtiest player in the league, because you get emotionally charged. But a lot of people have come out after this. I still think it is dirty. I get he ended up not getting suspended for this hit. But as far as for Barkov, they think he might have a mild concussion based off Maurice's comments. They said he was looking better today, and as long as he continues to progress, he should be good for Game 3. But we shall see.
Oh,
That's the.
two
Oh,
things.
good.
I thought like flying was very bad for concussions, and that's a very long flight. But one of our admins on Freeze the Puck, Better Call Paul, actually asked a valid question. He said, "How long is Barkov going to get suspended for hurting Draisaitl's elbow?" And that's a question I would like answered right now.
Better call Paul.
He's going to be suspended for 5 games.
Not my favorite admin.
5 games.
The thing about this, especially what we saw in Game 2, was Florida. I think they play dirty within the rules better than any other team. And they brought that out of Edmonton. They brought the ugly out. And Edmonton doesn't know how to play dirty within the rules. If you looked at Kogel, is that how you say his last name?
Fogel.
Fogel.
You're so close.
Fogel hit the knee-to-knee hit. That was so trash. Just the guy has the puck. Hit the guy. You can check the guy. Don't go for his knee.
I'm surprised he didn't get anything for that.
He got a
He got
fine.
a fine. He got fined.
He didn't get a
Oh,
game.
Oh, no,
he
he
fined?
didn't. No, he didn't. Carrick got fined for hitting Kulikov in the crotch. So no,
I thought Fogel was ejected.
He was
he wasn't-
ejected.
I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
but
I'm talking about like a suspension or anything. He was ejected in the game, and they felt like that was enough.
And okay. But you saw it just starting to bubble up. It'll be interesting in Game 3 if they can keep it under control. But obviously, Oiler fans are
blaming the
crying.
refs. They're blaming the refs.
I don't know how. I
It's
don't know
it's
how.
it's
I
in
thought
their
it was a good
script.
called game, and maybe I'm not even allowed to say that because I
I
probably
think
have
it
bias.
was.
I thought it
But I
was
thought it
too.
was called game.
I think part of being an Edmonton Oiler fan is when you sign up to be a fan, they give you a rule book and it says every game you have to cry about the refs. That's just like rule number 1.
This is me putting salt on Ethan right now. I think if
It's
it was
just
anyone
silly.
besides Leon Draisaitl or Connor McDavid making that hit, they would have been a suspension.
That's what a lot of people are saying. They're saying
I
if
agree.
Bennett laid out that hit on Connor McDavid, Bennett would be suspended. And I'm not gonna play into that. I don't know if that's true.
I will. It's true.
I will. I bet
And-
Edmonton Oilers fans wish it was Darnell Nurse who laid that hit. So he could be
Just,
suspended for 2
you
games.
just
That
give
way
them-
he's off the ice.
Why? We need to get him to minus 17. Come on.
That's right.
There we go.
I can just go with the Maurice Comrade. This is not the Oprah Winfrey show. My feelings don't matter.
Yeah.
So
you-
This is a
know,
podcast
one-
of opinions. Of course it matters.
One thing I will say, Cass, before you go, just because you mentioned the salt on Dallas, I wouldn't say Edmonton played dirty against Dallas, and I think that's actually part of the issue of Dallas's game. They should have been more physical. They should have done what Florida's doing because Florida's pulling the dirty out of Edmonton, and they're getting the power plays for it.
Florida does it
Dallas
well.
just-
They know
Dallas
how
needed
to.
do it.
I mean, I
Mhm.
watched 6 games against the Rangers. You know, like they know how to make those hits within the rules. They know how to get under the skin of the opponents within the rules.
Pesky hockey.
They are a pesky team to play against, and they're the team that deserves to be winning right now. Unfortunately, Brian,
so
they're gonna win the Stanley Cup 100% without a doubt.
You're making me so nervous with these. Absolutely.
100 doubt,
I can't.
unequivocally, they are gonna win the Stanley Cup.
I'll bring it back down, Brett. Do you know who the last team to win the Stanley Cup was after being down 0-2?
The last team to
I'm
win
just
the
gonna guess
Stanley Cup after being
Boston.
0-2.
Boston.
I wish I knew because I'm someone who's like a
2011?
hockey history junkie. So you're just gonna have to tell me.
2011, Boston Bruins.
Boston
Oh.
against Roberto Luongo, right?
You got big shoes to fill, Brett. Big shoes. Oh.
I
Or small shoes. Just do what Vancouver should have done.
I was talking about Zdeno Chara's boots,
Oh.
particularly, but
was that. Hold on, I saw some people mention. So there's a chance. I know I said that there's speculation that Barkov has a mild concussion, but there's definitely the broken jaw has been brought in there because he was holding his jaw and it looked like the elbow went into the jaw. They mentioned Zdeno Chara went with a bubble cage. Was that in 2011?
2019.
2019. Oh, okay, so a lot later. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
So-
That game was wild. That national anthem, I've never heard that place. Besides after the Boston Marathon, that was the loudest I've ever heard that place during the anthem.
something we forgot to put in the notes, but now we can talk about it just super quick. The WWE has made a championship belt for the Stanley Cup. Why or who? I'm convinced that there's someone out there who's a Blues fan that loves the WWE, just decided to bribe the WWE.
I feel like Edge had more of a say in that than anyone else.
I don't know if anyone actually cares about that, but it's cool. And the other thing that we forgot to mention, Amazon, they're doing this docuseries, right, about the NHL, and they're going to follow multiple players. The player list has been announced, and it features some players in this Stanley Cup Finals. Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Matthew Tkachuk, Jacob Trouba, David Pastrnak,
Why?
Jeremy Swayman, Quinn Hughes, Jack Eichel, William Nylander, Philip Forsberg, and Gabriel Landeskog, because everyone wants to know what a player looks like when they're never going to play again. So there you go.
I think that might be some of the most interesting content on this.
Jacob
It's gonna be-
Trouba.
They want to see him paint.
They want to see him dropping elbows from the top rope. That's how he's going to get that WWE Championship belt, because he's not going to get it from winning a Stanley Cup.
They just want a lot of shots of Tkachuk chewing on his. That's it.
Gross.
I seen some
Uh.
young Panther fans posting pictures or like parents. I'm assuming it's parents. Like My son now does his mouth go like Matthew Kachuk. Oh, part of me wants to comment. Don't do that.
Please don't
I
do
know
that.
Matthew Kachuk does. Don't do that. It's
Please
not
don't
good.
do that.
Not good.
You know who is the best person out of everybody in that building down in Sunrise? The best person in the entire arena is that kid that's behind the away team's
The
bench.
shirtless kid.
That kid is the best. That kid is the best.
He's gotta be freezing. Oh my
Dude,
God.
that kid he gets so like hype being behind that camera. I remember he was doing it against Peter Laviolette when they were playing the Rangers. Like, that kid's been there for like every game. Whoever that kid is, good on you and good on your parents.
Apparently,
hyped if you were that spoiled too.
Apparently, the Oilers, I'm just now reading, they've complained about that fan, just like they complained about the Green Men in Vancouver and La Bamba in Dallas.
Get
Look at
over
that.
Always
yourselves.
something.
Get-
Always something.
Get over yourselves. Come on.
Always something.
Ridiculous.
Anyways,
Salty boy.
hey, Cass, be quiet. You got out in the second round.
It's okay. I had draft pick.
Is that, yeah.
Oh, wait, that's right. We don't have a first round draft pick again.
There were some questions that we had in our notes that I'm going to ask. Should the President's Trophy stop being awarded? What would alternate options for the best regular season team be? As somebody who has witnessed my team with 2 President's Trophy curses, I'm going to say yes. Do I have an alternate? No. No, I don't.
There's a YouTube channel and I can't remember the guy's name, but he basically made an entire video dedicated to this topic, saying at one point before, like the period of time before the President's Trophy was awarded, which was in the 80s and 70s, there was actually a money incentive to become the best regular season team. They would actually give a bonus to the entire roster of the team that won the President's Trophy. And they started to stop doing that and handed out the President's Trophy instead.
Malarkey.
Okay, wait. Real quick, Jesse, you said you've been bitten by the curse twice?
Yes.
This year and
2015.
2015. I thought you were talking about 94. And I was
No,
like,
we don't talk about 94 on this podcast. We've
But
never talked
the-
about 94 on this podcast. Ever.
What's
Not once.
interesting about it that I don't think a lot of people realize is why it's called the President's Trophy. It has nothing to do with the U.S. how they have a president.
It's not.
nothing to
It's
do
not
with that.
because. Oh.
That's what the commissioner's position was at that time. It really should be called the commissioners. But
So,
it's been
I'm gonna-
11 years.
I'm gonna call out Brett again. Brett, the winning team does get a cash incentive of $350,000 for winning the President's
And-
Trophy.
That's on Brody
Um,
Brazil. He didn't tell me that. That was the guy's
Oh,
name, Brody
oops.
Brazil.
Oh, anyway, it's actually 500,000. But anyway, I'd say if you get rid of the President's Trophy, that's just as bad as giving the Toronto Maple Leafs just a first round bye and letting them go. It's like the running joke at this point in the NHL. So you have to keep it just to make the memes and the jokes and all that stuff going forward. Why
Who's
would you
going to
get
be
rid
the
of
next
it?
team? Yeah. I agree with Cass.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it's the
It-
Dallas
I mean-
Stars.
Coming
Yeah,
from a
amen.
fan last year who had one of the best regular seasons ever and got spanked in the first round, I'm saying keep it. So
Do you
I-
guys know who was the last team to win both?
Blackhawks 13. when
Chicago
they beat the
Blackhawks.
Bruins.
Yep.
Okay.
No, I knew that one. What I was gonna say is that the reason why the President's Trophy has not coincided with the Stanley Cup champion is because of how deep the NHL is still, right? I mean, even the 16th team to make the playoffs could still make a run because it's just that the parity's just that good in the league right now. And before, like, if you go before 2004 and after 2004, or sorry, 2005, right? That was when the lockout was. So the salary cap was implemented after the lockout, and the percentage of President's Trophy winners to win the Stanley Cup is significantly less after the lockout than before. Before the lockout, it was like if you won the President's Trophy, you had like a 70 or 80% chance to win the Stanley Cup. And then since then, it's more like I think it's below 50.
I think
Mm.
Yeah, it's not.
I think there's more to it too, in regards to obviously when you're playing in the regular season, you're playing against every team, right? And some of those teams are garbage. Some of those teams aren't, obviously. But when you're playing in a best of 7 series against one team, these teams know how to respond to your tactics. These teams learn how you play. They watch videos about you. They learn to adapt to how you're going to play. The only team that I just can't seem that nobody seems to be able to answer this season is the Panthers. They just can't break out of that of their forecheck. So like I think that's what happened with the Rangers is that like with Carolina particularly, Carolina was looking at how the Rangers were playing and how to respond to them. And same thing with the Panthers. The Panthers watched the Rangers and how they played and how to respond to them. And I think that just has a lot to do with it too. When you're playing against one team, they learn how to adapt to how you're playing.
So Catherine said, even I knew it was the Hawks. Catherine, you were a Hawks fan before you were a Coyotes fan. So that doesn't
Now
count.
Utah fan. Now
Right.
Utah fan.
The Utah man.
Me, I mean, that's what's so great about the NHL compared to crappy leagues like the NBA. Like the NBA, I could have told you at the beginning of the season the Celtics weren't going to win the championship because they're stacked, and the NBA isn't as diverse as the NHL. NHL, anyone could win. Look at Florida last year; they were so close, they got banged up. No one had an answer for Florida last year either. Let's just be honest. But injuries cost them that
Vegas.
championship. I'll stick with that. Yeah, 100%. But hopefully
Let's
the
do
same thing happens this year. Not wishing injuries or anything, but
Let's do this other one just super quick since the cup
go to
final
bed.
could be over before our next episode. 2-3-2 format instead of 2-2-1-1-1. Talking about home ice advantage. Currently, the way it works is like right now, Florida got the first 2 home games. It's going to go to Edmonton for 2. Then it's going to go Florida, Edmonton, Florida. Should it go to a 2-3-2 format where it'd be 2 in Florida, 3 in Edmonton, 2 back in Florida? And I'm going to go right off the bat and say no. I think it's
But
good as
why?
it is.
But why?
Because
They ain't
you're
broke.
losing home ice advantage far sooner.
I like the idea
If
that
it
they
ain't
have to
broke, don't
travel.
fix it.
I did not hear what either of you guys said.
Go Jesse.
I like the fact that they have to travel in between
like
those
that.
games. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I feel like it adds a layer of fatigue to both teams that can impact the next game moving on.
Oh,
The-
I would wonder if 2-3-2 series historically are done quicker. Like I think the AHL does it that way, and historically I think those series tend to end sooner than a 2-2-1-1-1. My theory is if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I love it the way it is, and that's that.
The other thing that isn't thought about, I think, a lot, you obviously have like the arena. You're used to your arena. Your fans. Sorry, that's the other side. But what people forget about a lot is after the game. Are you going home or are you going to a hotel? Are you recovering at home or are you recovering in a makeshift home? That's a big thing. So if it was 2-3-2, right? You just did 2 in Florida. Your players are now going to go on the road and not be in their own beds with their family for 3 games. And I think that plays a big impact on players more than people think.
So, as the person who brought this idea up in our chat, and it obviously stems from the length of travel between Florida and Edmonton. This is the longest distance between 2 teams in Stanley Cup final. I don't remember how they did that measurement because I had got into not an argument, but kind of like a back and forth with somebody saying that like travel distance wise, it was actually Boston and Vancouver. But if you just like drew a straight line between the 2 arenas, it's this one. I don't know. But this is for whatever measurement they used, this is the longest distance between 2 teams. And so thinking about that game between game 5, 6, and 7. They're doing like 2. I think in one time they're doing 3 days off. I could be wrong. Maybe it's 2 days
They're
off.
doing that, yeah, that 3 days off weird thing.
Yeah, and I was just kind of looking at the schedule. I'm like, if this goes 7, this is basically a whole month.
Yes.
And it's like insane to me. And if they did 2-3-2, it would just kind of like shorten up. You wouldn't have those 2 travel days, other than when you're switching between Florida and Edmonton, and then just the 1-day periods between all those other games. I would prefer it, and I think you guys all made good points for it to stay 2-2, 1-1-1. But I don't know. The length for the series is insane to me.
We
and
trying
so
to
I would
shorten
prefer
hockey
it.
season? We wanna-
Boo!
someone
But,
in the
it's
chat
same amount of
recently.
games. It's the same
Some-
amount of games.
Yeah, but you're getting through it sooner. Let it savor it. Wait for the next game. Someone
I hate
in the Freeze the Puck hockey chat mentioned if we expand, right, which Cass is super for. Let's
Boo.
expand to 36. I'm with him. Should we make the season less than 82 games? Make it like a 70 game season? It's like, no. Why? Baseball can go
Who said that?
162.
Who said that so I
I
can
don't
beat the
remember who
crap
it
out of
was.
them?
I'm not saying the game should be shorter, right?
No, yeah, I know.
Just the like just the length and time. I'm someone who kind of like just kind of like eats, and I'm like, I'm just kind of eat and then get on to the thing that I wanted to do. So I'm not that kind of like sit and savor
You gotta savor
type of guy.
Gotta savor it.
Patrick Swayze in our chat says, I think 3 in a row is too much in a row for a best of 7.
Especially if you're not the home ice advantage team. You lose the whole home ice advantage thing. Especially like if you give up game 1 in Florida to Edmonton, you've really given up home ice advantage at that point.
Well, so just so you guys know, and some of you guys might know this is how Major League Baseball does it. They do 2-3-2, and that kind of does happen. Like if you lose one of your 2 home games, basically home field advantage has shifted drastically to the other seed. But that's something that just plays into it. I don't know if they do 2-3-2 in the NBA.
I think they
Catherine just
used
asked that.
to.
Maybe they used to.
She said, didn't they try it?
I don't know if they tried it.
Yeah, to watch that sport.
But I think what kind of shifts it back is that the 2 most potential important games in that series, game 6 and 7, are going to both be to the higher seed there. So that's kind of like the counter. Like, yeah, if you lose game 1 or 2, you're not looking good. But hey, if you can just win one of those road games, as long as you split the series, you'll get to play the 2 most important games, game 6 and 7, in your home arena.
A lot of ifs.
I was gonna say, I bet you those higher seeds are hoping they don't even have to play game 6 or 7.
Fair enough,
Oh.
but if you do, you get home ice. That would be the thing.
Yeah.
But I think you guys have made good points for it to stay the same. I think I still would like 2-3-2. I think cases can be made for positives on either one.
Yeah, Jesse brings up a good point about like sleeping at home and sleeping in your own bed,
Sure.
which I'm about
Yeah.
to do right now. So
It was a good point, Jesse. I
Thank
think
you.
maybe the best
you.
point ever made on the podcast.
I would
Yeah,
agree.
really.
Made by me.
we just go to bed.
I think it's time for Cass to go to bed.
Cass, are you a Celtics fan?
By default.
No.
That's like saying I'm
Hey,
a
one of the-
Knicks fan by default.
One of the Celtics
I-
players
I-
is a
yeah.
big Panther fan, Jaylen Brown. He's rooting
Saw
for
that,
his
yeah.
old schoolmate Matthew Tkachuk.
That
So,
guy has a freaking Harvard education or something like that. He's like a brainiac.
yeah.
I had no idea.
Must be nice.
But yeah, I won't be going to the parade. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, fair.
I would just to get drunk. Come on. Oh, you have
After
kids.
Work though.
Yeah, you have kids
Yeah,
too.
daycare. Even more reason to get drunk.
True.
Well,
Well,
wrap
Right.
this up.
I think that's it for us this week. We appreciate you watching. We appreciate your comments. Follow us on Twitter at Top Shelf Dusters, Facebook.com/Top Shelf Dusters. If you have something that you want to say to us for whatever reason, I don't know why you would want to talk to us, but you could email us at topshelfdusters@gmail.com. My name is Jesse.
This is Brett.
This is Cass.
This is Ethan, and Brett Hull's foot was legal in the 1999 Stanley Cup Finals.
I disagree.
Spoilers.
We'll catch you next week.
Go Panthers.